When you think of art, you probably don't think of science, but the administration at the LSU School of Veterinary Medicine decided to change that. The school became the first vet school in the entire country to have an artist in residence. Her pictures were displayed inside the school's library for everyone to admire. She gave me a special tour of that exhibit. Healing, teaching, discovering, and protecting. The LSU School of Veterinary Medicine operates by those words. Every time an animal is in need, they respond quickly. It's almost an art.
I really like my work to connect very deeply with the place that I'm creating within. And so every time I do it, it looks different. I come to the place, I try to seek out unique materials and talk to the people who live there and get a sense for what, goes into sort of being there in terms of atmosphere. And then I try to connect that to the work.
This is Shelby Prindiville. She's an artist who loves to connect wildlife with her artwork. So when the LSU Vet School asked her to be their first artist in residency, she jumped at the chance to combine science and art. So these are some of your pieces right now. And I mean, just at glance, it looks like this is just paper and it looks like this is just some sort of, I don't know, it looks like wood to me almost. But what is unique about these pieces?
Sure. So with the mosquito piece specifically, I met with some researchers from the epidemiology lab where they study, infectious diseases, viruses carried by mosquitoes. So they do research with these creatures. And this paper is actually a mosquito ovipositioning paper, meaning they smear mosquito eggs on the paper and hatch the mosquitoes for research purposes. So I've taken that paper that they use every day in a scientific way, and I've used it as a substrate for art. I've gone ahead and painted on top of it. And what I've painted are two different female mosquitoes, fresh after a bovine blood meal.
Well, down here in Louisiana, we definitely have a not so nice relationship with mosquitoes, so it's nice to see them in a totally different light.
Yeah, and then with this piece, it is just on a wood panel, so that's a very traditional art material. But this is a painting of a wild Mississippi kite from the Zoo Med Wildlife Hospital.
Each of Prindiville's pictures took materials from the vet school to create an image of animals the staff actually treat. The painting of the two pigs is on a pig board instead of a canvas, and this portrait of a Mississippi kite is made from medicines veterinarians use.
It's a gorgeous bird, and it's sort of fluffed up in a defensive posture in this piece. And then the background and a little bit of the eyes around the beak and then the whole of the feet are actually done using veterinary medicines exclusively. So it uses betadine, which is a type of antiseptic that I'm sure you're familiar with, a little bit of cornstarch just to create some darker coloration, and then a smokeless moxarol from integrative medicine, which they use to warm up acupuncture sites. So those are the veterinary chemicals. And then on top, the bird itself is painted with acrylic paint.
I mean, I don't know much about paints or art or any of that, so how did you figure out that those chemicals will work in a picture?
Oh, I don't always know that they will. I've been working with a bunch of novel usages of these chemicals, and I don't actually know always how long-term archival they're going to be. In this case, I did research and I found that there are a number of carpenters who are using iodine as a wood stain, so that gave me some faith that that would probably be fairly archival.
Prindiville's work was displayed in the vet school's library, where students and faculty could admire the creativity. Mark Mitchell, a zoologist and epidemiologist at the school, says Prindiville's work brought a much-needed change to the atmosphere.
A lot of times, sometimes we want to separate science and the arts, and I think for human beings, everything combined is really what makes life exciting. And so for us on the wildlife side of things, what's really special is the fact that our artist in residence was really excited about the wildlife cases, and so we got to spend a lot of time watching her and see this magnificent work that's behind me.
The idea for the project came from Oliver Garden, the vet school's dean. To him, this project was a way to let light and creativity mix with the science.
Exceeded what I thought was possible, and her productivity was breathtaking. She essentially, in 7 short weeks, produced enough artwork, visual predominantly, to make an exhibition, and that's a pretty outstanding accomplishment.
So what's next for the vet school? More artists. Garden says they're open to all the possibilities.
And we recognize the value of all forms of art, whether they're visual or otherwise, and indeed we're in the early talks with a musician, and we hope that that will come to fruition and give a different flavor to the program in which the culmination would be, rather than an exhibition, it would actually be a concert. How cool would that be? A concert at the vet school that would have an open invitation to anyone who wants to come. So yeah, we definitely will be continuing, and it's probably going to be a different form of art than the visual form, the interdisciplinary visual artist that Shelby is.